Hi everyone, it's Marguerite with Wreaths by Marguerite, back to show you another kit available in my shop. This is the second kit of the year. It is our St. Patrick's Day storm door kit. It's under 4 inches deep, so you can place it behind a storm or a screen door without it being crushed. So if this is something that you'd be interested in doing, or at least enjoy watching, follow along and see how we do this today. Let's get started on this great project. Okay, so let's go over the materials first and the tools you'll be using for this project. I will be cutting and prepping 4 pieces of each of the ribbons for this tutorial. If you'd like to see more detailed coverage where I have cut and prepped every single piece of the product in the video, you can refer back to the first few months of videos in January and February of 2024. In those, I go over cutting every single piece of ribbon. But today, we're not doing that for the sake of time. You can always back up and re-watch a section if you're not sure how to do it, okay? So you're going to get 3 different ribbons with this kit. In this kit, I chose all 2.5-inch wide ribbons, and now they are cut at 13 inches in length instead of 12. So I have the plaid with the shamrocks, the solid emerald green, and then a mixture of both in a plaid. I took my inspiration from the colors and the designs in the sign. So next is the sign. The sign is a waterproof wreath sign. I've already attached cable tie mounts on the back in your kits and done all this work for you. With this kind of a sign, you can't use staples because it will go through. So what we do is we put a super glue under these cable tie mounts and then reinforce it with the hot glue around the edge to give it strength while you're using it. Hot glue is not enough to hold this stuff on the sign if it's really hot or really cold. In the cold, it'll snap off. If it's in the heat, it'll melt off. So you need that super glue under the clips. Okay, so that was 2 pipe cleaners cut in half to get 4 pieces for the sign. I'm going to put the sign aside for now because that's one of the last pieces we use. So I talked about the ribbon. You need 12 pieces, but you should have 13 of each, so that if you make a mistake, you have 1 to work with. Then you have the base. This is the bottom of it all. It is a 14.25-inch ring with 4 rings on it. It's fairly flat. Pardon, guys. So it's 4 rings with 6 crossbars. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the outer 6 pipe cleaners are attached right at the crossbars. And then the inner 6 are between the crossbars. So that'll stagger the mesh so it lays flatter. That has a lot to do with why it can be such a thin wreath. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's the first thing we'll use. I'm going to put these aside for now. I will also give you a troubleshooting process if you cut ribbon wrong, but I'm telling you, if you're a beginner, and since it's a kit, I would only cut 1 piece at a time. Then last but not least is the Deco mesh. I went with a lime and a white mesh. It's the 10-inch mesh, meaning 10 inches this way. That's really the only thing that works with this style wreath. And they're all pre-cut for you at 20 inches in length, and you should have 1 extra too. So you have 12 pipe cleaners, 12 pieces of each ribbon, and 12 pieces of mesh. So that's, remember that, 12, 12, and 12. Okay, so I'm going to get all this other stuff out of the way because we're going to use these first. This over here was my trial to make sure everything looked good together. I'm still using it in my wreath. So the tools that I use is a chip clip to hold my mesh. Definitely need some scissors, some wire cutters. I bring the needle nose out just in case. And I use this to pull the pipe cleaners from the back of the sign through the mesh, and I'll show you that. Makes it a lot easier than trying to force it through with your fingers. You can do it, it's just sometimes it's a struggle. And then I have a wooden dowel. It's the thickness of a pen or a pencil, so if you don't have a wooden dowel, just grab a standard pen or pencil and use that because you're just using it to curl the pipe cleaner on at the end, okay? I'll leave that out for now. Don't need anything except for the mesh, the clip, and the frame. So let me set that there for now. First thing we want to do is, I always recommend prepping your wreath frame so you're not struggling. Because sometimes there are parts of this process that you almost need a third hand for. So having these ready for you to go as you go is a good thing. So we're going to work on the outside 6 pipe cleaners first. So what we're doing is we're spreading the pipe cleaners out horizontal to us because the mesh is going to go in vertical. So pipe cleaners horizontal, mesh vertical. And if you notice, I'm turning the entire frame as I adjust it instead of reaching across into it. Puts less strain on your back when you do that. If you're standing, it's not as bad, but I still recommend bringing it to you to work on it. That's how I will approach it the entire wreath. So let me put this aside. This is where I have the chip clip in the mesh. You always have your curl side down on mesh for this style of wreath. And you want to find your center. It's pretty easy on this one because it has a green stripe down the center that helps you visually for ruffling your mesh. But if you don't have a patterned mesh, if it's all one color, fold it in half. Place your finger where it should go and stick your clip or whatever thing you have. And it's just a chip clip. Most everything that I have here can be found in your home already. Don't go out and buy any special tools. Everybody should have wire cutters, needle nose, scissors, a pen, a chip clip. Okay. So now on the other side, I turned it around. On the other side, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to fold it in half to find my center, and then I'm going to take the mesh and I'm going to ruffle it all into my thumbs, which are on the outside of the frame, using both hands. On the bottom layer, I am going to do it this way, where I use both hands to ruffle. On the top layer, I'm going to show you a second way that I like to ruffle. When I'm making a bunch at once and I'm on a roll, the other way goes a little faster for me. You get to the top, you pull the clip off and grab the rest of that mesh right in the center where your thumb and forefinger on, and make sure, holding it loosely in the center, that you bring your mesh out so that you have a nice circle. You don't want one side sticking out an inch or more past it. So you never grab the mesh from the edges because it can change the design of the mesh, and this has fabric mesh in it as well as the poly plastic. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring that frame back over, and we're going to take and we're going to put this poof in there vertically. Okay, and then you're going to hold it in place while you bring up the pipe cleaners on both sides. And what we're going to do now is we're going to twist these pipe cleaners tight and pull down low towards the table while we're twisting it 2 to 3 times. And then you're done. Put that up in the air for now. All mesh phrase, so as you see strings sticking out, make sure to cut them as you go. It's a lot easier to do it that way than to come back and find them. Why did I do it, the pipe cleaners? Why did I attach them and twist them tight and low? That helps keeps the thickness of the wreath down, because our goal is to keep it under 4 inches deep so you can put it behind a screen or a storm door. So the next step is to take your outside cut edge on one side and put it over the inside cut edge, and the outside cut edge over the inside cut edge. We do this horizontally with the mesh in vertically so that we're hiding all the cut edges on the interior of the wreath so they don't catch on anything. Now I can already see it's got a very sharp point here, and it dips in over here and over here, as well as this not being exactly an inch, right? Not being even, it's like an inch off. That's what I was trying to say. So to adjust this, you could take it out and re-ruffle it, but the less you handle your mesh, the better. So my recommendation is to grab it at the pipe cleaner and pull it from just below the pipe cleaner. No one is ever going to see this portion of the mesh, so no one will know that you pulled on it there. So there we go. We have those edges. Now we have to find the other side of the poof to this sharp point and pull it out. I think it's this one. It's always different than I think it is. That's okay, because our ultimate goal is to make sure 5 inches is on the outside of the pipe cleaners and 5 inches is on the inside, with a nice circle going on. And if you have to adjust it a little bit, so be it. I have the cutting mat, which you need to cut the mesh if you're doing these projects on your own. So I just checked to see that it's at the 5-inch mark, and it is, okay? When I put the mesh in, I don't do every single one in order. I go and do the next one after this one, so every other. I find that when I do it that way and go back and do the other 3, my wreath sits a lot flatter. Okay, I like to use the edge of the table to uncurl my mesh, but always remember that you want curl side down. So I'm putting that clip in the center, and then I'm going to go to the other side, and I'm going to ruffle it using both hands completely with the thumbs on the outside of the wreath. try both ways that I'm teaching you today and see what you're most comfortable with. I tend to go back and forth between the two to break up the monotony of doing the same thing over and over again, especially if I'm doing a big show and I have to create a lot of product quickly. So I'm holding it loosely with my thumb and forefinger, and I'm bringing it out to the edge, making it nice and even. And then this is in front of me again, and I'm going to take that mesh ruffle and I'm going to bring it up in the center vertically. Bring one pipe cleaner up and then the other. Pulling it tight and low towards the table, twisting it 2 to 3 times. 2 is generally enough, but if you end up pulling them on the mesh too much, it can untwist the pipe cleaner. Outside cut edge over inside cut edge. Outside cut edge over inside cut edge, and it'll pop it off. So I find that if I do 3, it's almost non-existent for it to open up. And I usually have to make adjustments more in the first few pieces of mesh than in the last few, because I just have to get back in the groove. I haven't made anything for a couple days because of the snowstorm and I was spending time with my hubby. So I'm a little rusty for making anything, okay? Pardon. So we'll skip this one and then we'll go to this one next. Use that table to uncurl it. Fold it in half. Clip the center. Do the same on the other end. Ruffle into your thumbs with all your fingers. There we go. Bring it over. Place it in the frame. Twist one up. Bring the other one up. Twist it down and tight. 1, 2, 3. Pipe cleaners are pretty durable, so it'd be pretty unlikely for you to pull tight and break. I always try to get my pipe cleaners at Hobby Lobby. They're a better quality than a lot of other places. A little bit thicker wire. Only when I'm in a bind or I need a specific color that's hard to find do I buy it anywhere else. Okay, when I come back, the other 3 will be filled and I'll have a couple pieces of ribbon tails in, and then I'll explain the process of cutting it and then continue from there. Okay, now I've finished the first layer by putting the last 3 pieces of mesh in between the other 3 that I did initially, and I've started putting the ribbon on for the first layer. Let me put those there so I can move on to what I'm going to show you guys now. Excuse me. That one came out of the blue. Okay, so let's go ahead and start with getting the rest of our ribbon ready. I've already made bundles. That's how I was able to put those in so quickly. They're all ready to go. So you're going to get 3 bundles of ribbon. You may get 6. Why would you get 6? If I'm getting close to an end of a roll of ribbon, I may not get all to 12 to 13 in one bundle. So you might have 2, 2, and 2. Regardless, you're going to have 13 pieces total. So the 13th piece is your backup if you make a mistake. So I always suggest to follow this direction when you're cutting your ribbon. You open it up to the center. You can always tell where the center is. The back is way different from the top side of the ribbon. And I usually put a few fingers in there to hold it separate. And then I cut at the top, the whole bundle, and I cut at the bottom, the whole bundle. Then I immediately turn the ones that are facing top down on the table over to the top. And then I immediately fold them. So I fold the finished side on the inside directly in half, putting a nice crease at the bottom. Get those all done. Do everything at once. So those are done. I'm going to do this one next, and I'll talk about this one last. So I'm finding my center, put my finger in there, cutting at the top end and the bottom end, It's nice because everything's folded for you. You don't even have to measure it. Just turn these right side up on top of the others and start folding them in half evenly till you get them all done. I recommend you do all the ribbon at once at this point so you're done and out of the way and you can move along swiftly. You'll feel much more accomplished as it goes quicker later. I did this last because it's a solid colored ribbon. There is a finished side and an unfinished side to this type of ribbon. It's not always very apparent. So it's very important to use this technique like I've done so far for cutting and prepping the ribbon. That way you're never guessing whether you have it right side up or not. So again, find your center of your bundle, put a few fingers in there, cut at the top end and the bottom end, and know that this is finished side up. So that means the back side was finished side down. I immediately turn it over and fold it in half evenly, making some nice creases at the bottom. Those creases will be my guide for gathering the ribbon, as well as yours, of course. You purchase a kit or make your own. All right. Now, why was it so important to do that? I feel like, this is my perspective. You're working on a project and the dog comes in and knocks something off the table and you have to put it back on the table, for example. You don't know what side's up or down unless you've got a very apparent finished side like this one and this one does, and a very apparent not finished side, which is the back side. So this alleviates confusion and examining your ribbon at length to make sure which is the right side and wrong side. And if you have to come back later and stop at some point, you don't have to sit down and make this all in one shot. It's up to you if you want to or not. Take your time, enjoy the process. That just takes away all the guesswork as to what's finished or not as far as the ribbon. It's so not apparent that if you don't get it right, it's not that big of a deal with the solid color ribbons, but peace of mind is everything, right? Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut these. Now make sure you follow this exactly. You want to put that folded side down to the table and the cut side up to the ceiling. Fold it directly in half, wire to wire, and cut from the new fold to the wire at a 45-degree angle to get your little cuts. All right, and you do this with every single one. Finish side down, fold it directly in half, wire to wire, cut from the new fold to the wire at a 45-degree angle. Fold down, fold in half, cut side to the ceiling, cut. Folded side down, cut side to the ceiling, fold it in half, wire to wire, cut it from the new fold to the wire. Okay, so you just keep doing that till you get them all done. Once I get these cut, I'll show you a little troubleshooting tricks you can do to correct if you make any mistakes. But definitely if you're a beginner, cut these one at a time. And since it's a kit, I also recommend you do it one at a time because you don't want to make too many mistakes because then you won't have enough to complete the project, and we don't want that. I do give you one extra piece of each ribbon and one extra piece of the mesh, but that's it because we're trying to keep these kit prices down so they're nice and affordable for you. Okay, folded side down, fold it in half, wire to wire, cut side to the ceiling, cut at an angle from the folded side to the wire, folded side down, fold in half, wire to wire, cut from the fold to the wire. 2 more to go. Folded side down, fold in half with the folded side to the table and the cut side to the ceiling. Folded side down, wire to wire. Okay, this one I was a little too quick. So this top corner, let me see if I can bring this in and show you what happened. This, I didn't get a pointed tip on the tip of this, but this is one of the troubleshooting ideas. You can either do both of them at once or just cut the side that's not right. Fold it in half. Make sure that wire is even. It was obviously not even when I cut it. So I'm going to cut from that new fold to the wire just enough. I just have a sliver come off to fix that, okay? So now I'm going to show you some mistakes that you can make that you can recover from. Let me just use this one. Okay. So you have the folded side down. You didn't make sure that the wires were even. You folded it in half. You were pretty sloppy about it, right? You cut from the new fold to the wire, and you've got this side way small, this side way big. This side way big, this side way small. So to fix that, just go back, make sure those wires are nice and even, fold it in half, and then recut just slightly lower than the shortest one. That way you don't lose much length in your ribbon. And there you go, it's fine again. The other thing that you can do, I'm going to cut that off again. I'm not wasting product here. So I'm going to fold it in half evenly. The wires are up against each other. The folded side is down and the cut side's up. I'm going to cut way more than a 45-degree angle when I cut those V's. Those are super deep compared to the others. See them? This is how much you should be at an angle. This is how much I just did. That is way deep. Well, it's not a bad look. When you put it in the wreath, what's going to happen is it's going to buckle on it. So you don't want to do that. To correct it again, you're going to lose a little bit of length, but you're just going to take that angle from way up here and bring it down way over here. And you're back where you need to be. Again, you're going to lose a little length. Yes, I lost a lot on this, but that was my sample one. So last but not least, this is the last one, and you cannot recover from this. I'm talking, and I'm not paying attention, and my folded side's up, and my cut side's down. Just not paying attention. I fold it in half. Cut it. Oh no, I've got two separate pieces. Didn't cut that wire very well. This you really can't recover from. I've heard of people actually stapling or sewing them together to not waste product, but I don't like to do that. I have a lot of pride in my product when I'm selling them, so if it were for me, I might consider it if it was the very last piece of ribbon. But don't do that. You have the spare one to use to recover from. So let me clean up this mess. If you just need to watch it over and over and over and over again, by all means, watch my tutorials from the beginning, January, February of 2024. It's pretty straightforward. If you follow the rules and the progress that I showed you, you'll be okay. So then the next thing I do is I determine which ribbon I want on top, and then the next ribbon that I want in the center, I put it behind the top one, and the one I want on the bottom last. I like to break up patterns with the solid if I'm using that in my bundles. And get your bundles already. Once your bundles are ready, you can just fly through this. The designs on both of the ribbons that have a design on them, this one and this one, the designs go both ways, so it doesn't matter how that you put them in. You do need to be careful if you have a ribbon that has words on it or a design that only goes in one direction. And what I mean is if all the shamrocks were only going one direction, we wouldn't be able to just put it in any way we want. We'd have to make sure that we all had them all the same direction. And I have some other suggestions if you watch some of my other videos. Okay, so we are all set to go to put these last three in on this layer. So when you're putting the ribbon in, it's the opposite of the mesh. The mesh, you wanted your pipe cleaners horizontal so the mesh could go in vertically. With the ribbon, you want the pipe cleaners vertical, turning it, so you can put your ribbon in horizontal. So we're going to open up a bundle. That nice crisp fold there is going to be my guide to ruffle the ribbon. I'm going to hold it with one hand, and then I'm going to take the other ends and bring them out towards me to the edge of the table. They're going to go in here. I'm going to twist this tight and low to the table 3 times. And then I'm going to twist up towards the ceiling till I get about an inch and a half twist. And I'm going to take my wire cutters and I'm going to clip off what's not twisted. You're going to tuck that down into the wreath. You can do it right away or you can do it at the end. I saved those 3 to do at the end. And then you're going to pop these little divots out of the ribbon. You're going to lift the top 2 up and away, position the ribbon, and run your fingers over the edges to straighten it out. Pop the top one away and bring this one down. You're going to have a little bit of these divots. You can't avoid it. And then place this top one. On the other side, I like to do it opposing positions. Now, the dark green will always be in the center on this design, but I'm going to pull the top 2 ribbons up and bring the plaid down. I'm still going to have the green in the center, but I'm going to put the shamrock on the top, okay? So I like to push it down a little bit, helps hold it in place as well. Don't fuss with it too much because we'll pull it out towards the outer edge better at the end. Right now, we just want to get it in position. It does have a mind of its own, so it might move a little bit. And then I press this down. You don't want it going through to the back of the wreath, the pipe cleaner, but you do want it facing the interior of the wreath. On this layer, you're only going to see the outer edges. So I'm going to go over here, do this one. I'm going to ruffle the center, hold it with my thumb and forefinger, and bring the edges down to the table. And when you're doing that, make sure that they're even, that not one side is longer than the other. It's going to look wonky in here if you don't do that. Tight and low 3 times, twist the pipe cleaner. And twist up 6 to 8 times usually is what it takes to get it 1 to 1.5 inch twist. I'm going to go ahead and fold it down now. I'm going to pop these little divots out of the base by the pipe cleaner. I'm going to lift, separate position. Lift, separate position. That helps you when you lift and separate like that to pull it away from the pipe cleaner as close to the actual pipe cleaner as possible. It gives you more flexibility in moving the ribbon around without it fighting you so much and trying to go hide up here. Okay, so press that down a little bit. I'll do the last one and I'll cut the ones I did off camera after that. Okay. Let's ruffle the center. Bring the tips to the edge of the table. So basically an upside down V. Place it in my vertical pipe cleaners. Twist 1, 2, 3, tight and low, and then 6 to 8 times up to get that twist. I'm going to put that down, and then I'm going to stop fussing, Marguerite. Lift, separate position. Lift, separate position. Get those divots out. Okay, and do this side. Lift, separate position, and there you go. Now I just need to cut these off, tuck them in. You can wait and do that part until you got them all 6 on this layer. That's up to you. When I'm not on camera, I mix it up. All right, so there's your first layer. We're going to go back now and pull the pipe cleaners up that are strung between each crossbar on rings 3 and 4, and we're going to take them horizontally. Ribbon is vertical, mesh is horizontal with the pipe cleaners. That's 2. Can't wait for my new chair to be here this week. I feel like I'm reaching up because the stand on the chair is wearing out, whatever you call that, the pump. So it keeps sinking on me. But I think after 8 years, that's not bad. It's time for a new one. And it's going to have purple on it, so I'm excited. Anybody knows anything about me, it's all about purple. Favorite color since a child, and no, it's not because of Donny Osmond. I was doing the purple before him, just saying. Okay. Okay, I'm back. I am back. I finished the first layer, but I had the camera angle incorrect, so you'll find out everything on the top layer, okay? So I'm going to do all 6 pieces of mesh and all 6 ribbon bundles so you see what I missed on the bottom layer. Okay, that was really not cool. Can't take it apart and redo it. It wouldn't be the same. So I'm using the table to uncurl my mesh. This time I'm not using, let's see, I still need to use the clip up here. But I'm not going to use it down here because I know where I need to be. So I always start it out with 2 hands, and then I take one hand to hold it down at the top as I'm ruffling to the top. Get that all ready to go. All right. Put that in there, and I do turn my wreath sometimes to an angle. I don't know if it's because I'm left-handed or what. It's just more comfortable for me. Either the wreath is sideways or I'm sideways, or both. Outside cut edge over inside cut edge. Okay. Outside cut edge over inside cut edge. Skip one. Now, why do I like to do it this way with one hand in front of where I'm gathering? When you get further into the roll of mesh, the curls are tighter, so they fight you more when you're trying to ruffle them. That's why it's important to have it curl side down with a clip on one end, and even maybe your phone or a rock or something heavy to hold it down. But that's why I hold it up here once I get started, so I'm not being fought by the curl. I like this technique better myself. I do both though, like I said. Okay. Tight and low with the pipe cleaner 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Lift it out of the way. Outside cut edge over inside cut edge. Outside edge over inside cut edge. Make sure your sides are even. If not, make adjustments. I probably shouldn't jinx myself, knock on wood. But those 2, I didn't have to make any adjustments. See how curly that is? Fold in half. Lay it on the table. Uncurl it. Ruffle. I'm not folding it in half. Simply because, to find the center, simply because I know where my center is at this point. And then I'm ruffling with one hand, holding it down with the other. Okay, let's put that one. We're skipping that one. So that means we want to go to this one. I'm put an angle a little, it's bugging me. Why is this not staying where I want it to be? So see, now I'm having to fuss with it with a piece of mesh in my hand. We don't want to have to do that. There's a reason why I show you how to do things the way I do. 3 times. Take the outside cut edge over the inside cut edge, and it's a little bit more challenging at this point because you have all that ribbon from the bottom layer, and now you have all that mesh as well. Okay, one thing I need to do is cut a string off, and you're good to go. Actually, this is a little off, so let me adjust it. There we go. Okay, now we go back and do the next 3. In between those 3. Very curly now. Very curly. Ruffle all the way to the top. Hold it with your thumb and forefinger. Make any adjustments you need to. Never pulling on the edge of the mesh. You'll permanently alter the design if you do that. Tight and low. 1, 2, 3. Take that outside cut edge over that inside cut edge. Come here. There you go. Outside cut edge over inside cut edge. This looks a little pointy. There we go. Nope, I made it worse. There we go. I should have just left it alone. It's in here I need to pull. There we go. That's nice and round. That's what's going to be seen. This won't be seen. 2 to go. Sorry about that fiasco with the first layer. Oops. Make sure you have plenty of workspace so that doesn't happen. It's probably going to happen a little bit anyway, but the more space you have to work with, the better. So your product doesn't start hitchhiking on the mesh, because mesh, by definition, is like Velcro. It sticks to everything. And I know I didn't say it before, but try to wear short sleeves when you're working with mesh. You'll be less frustrated, because it's going to attach itself to that. Don't wear anything good. It'll snag and ruin your clothes. You won't be happy. Tighten low 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Outside edge over inside cut edge. Outside cut edge over inside cut edge. Alright, and last but not least, there's not an extra one here because this was mine, not a kit that I made for you guys. Fold it in half. One last time. Click the center just for the sake of review. I'm going to fold it in half on this end to find my center. This is so curly. Look at this. Stay. This won't stay uncurled at the top. Ruffle outside thumbs, the rest of the fingers up the center. I'm going to hold it ahead of where I'm working down so it's not so curly and fighting me. Take that clip off, finish ruffling it, put it in your thumb and forefinger. Make sure the edges meet up evenly so you have a circle. Bring your wreath over. Make sure your pipe cleaners are horizontal for the mesh. And then you're going to put your mesh in vertically, right in the center where you were holding it with your thumb and forefinger. Twist the pipe cleaner tight and low to the table. 1, 2, 3. Lift it up and out of the way. Take your outside cut edge on one side and put it over your inside cut edge. Take your outside cut edge on the other side and put it over your inside cut edge. Make any adjustments you need. I have a little bit of a point there. So I'm going to hold the pipe cleaners and pull it from here. There we go. Making sure all my edges are even. And that was my last one. Okay, so now you need to make a decision. Marguerite, do I put my ribbon in next or do I put my sign in next? I'm going to give you my advice. Okay. Put that back together. When you have a round sign, when you have a perfectly square sign, when you have a rectangular sign that's just like a license plate sign, I always put, 95% of the time, not always, I put the ribbon on the top layer after I put the sign on. But if you have a specialty shape, like an egg shape, or a star, or a heart, I'm going to tell you that I recommend putting the ribbon bundles on first and then the sign. Because if you put the sign on first and it's a specialty shape like a heart or a star, you're going to hide all of the points and you're not going to be able to tell that it's a heart. It's just going to look like a blob in the center, for lack of a better way to put it. So in this case, it's a perfectly round sign. It is a, is it 8 or 10? It's almost 10 inches. I use from 8 to 12 inch rounds when I make Storm Bear wreaths. First thing I do is I like to pull all the pipe cleaners out of the way while I'm working on this. And I usually put my pipe cleaners on the back of the sign at 12 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 3 o'clock, and 9 o'clock. So that helps you center your sign on the wreath. You're going to want to make sure one of the pipe cleaners is at 12 o'clock, one of them's at 6 o'clock. That's how you know this is the very center of your wreath. And then you're going to place this in between it so that it's even in between these two. This is where I stand. So I know this needs to go here. And this goes here. So that means here and here. That's evenly between these two and straight on with those. That's where this plastic needle comes in. It is 6 inches. It's a plastic embroidery needle, and I use it to pull my pipe cleaner through the mesh. I'm going to sit back down for this. 2 more days and I get a new chair. Ugh. Then I gotta get a new mat. Okay. So I lift it off the table a little bit. I make sure that my needle is up ever so slightly under the sign, and then I angle it so that when I'm done, we're making sure that the pipe cleaner is hidden under the sign. Okay, so I'm going to pull it through. And then I'm going to go do the top one, and then I'll do the sides. I usually tighten up the top and the bottom one underneath and the back of the wreath before I do the other two in an X formation. So I do 2 and then 2. That helps you keep your sign flat and not popped up on one side and down on the other. If you don't have one of these needles, that's fine. You just feed it through carefully with your hand. Pardon me, and you make sure that you are not putting it through the ribbon. I don't have any plastic to cover this, do I? Yeah, I do. I usually, pardon the noise, have a piece of bubble wrap in front of me, or the packaging the sign came in, to cover the sign while I'm turning it over so I don't scratch it or dent it. I clean my table between each project, but that doesn't mean it stays perfectly clean. So I'm pushing the wreath down just a little bit so that the sign will settle into the wreath but not make it look puckered. And I just take that pipe cleaner and I twist it around the frame, usually where there's another pipe cleaner, to secure it so it's not floating around and wobbly on the front, okay? And make sure that sharp point of the pipe cleaner is back down into the wreath so it doesn't scratch a door. All right. Now I'm going to go back and I'm going to do these two. So it's where I want it to be. It's pulled it a little flatter. No big deal. I'm going to take that embroidery needle back through. Pull it through. I lifted it off the table to make it easier to manage the needle. I have the needle at an angle. I'm taking the end of the pipe cleaner through the needle and folding it so it doesn't come off. I'm going to put this back on the front to protect my sign. And then I'm going to go back and I'm going to press down on the wreath a little bit. Get this secured. Wrap it till it's gone. If I'm going to turn it, I lift it to turn it. I don't drag it around. And then I'm going to put it in there. Sorry about the crinkly noises. Twist around the frame until it's done. So now, I don't need that anymore. It's time for the chair to cooperate. Kidding. Not really. And now I'm going to put the ribbon tails in. I'm getting all my ribbon tail pipe cleaners opened vertically. I will tell you that I do the 12 o'clock and 6 o'clock last because I like how it lays on top of the sides. You'll see what I mean in a minute. It's just one more dimension. So I usually start at 2 o'clock, then go to 4 o'clock. Then I do 10 o'clock and then do 7 o'clock. And then I do these. So on the top layer, I'm not going to do that inverted V. I'm going to spread it out. So I'm gathering it just like I did on the bottom, except for I'm not doing anything else. I'm bringing it in here and I'm putting it in the mesh. In the pipe cleaner. Now you can do it the same way as I did on the bottom. There's nothing wrong with that, but I want it to overlap the sign a little bit. So I'm going to put it in there and make it nice and tight 2 or 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Twisting it down towards the table tight. Don't do anything with it yet. We're going to do that at the end. And on the top layer, I'm still going to lift, separate, and position. Lift, separate, and position. Getting these divots out as I go. On the top, I'm going to give them a little bit of a curl. You can do it that way, or let me do this. I'm going to do this side the same as that way, where on the bottom, I did opposing. So both of the plaid ones on this one, are going to be closest to the sign. And then I'm going to position this. Now, if you want to give your ribbon a little bit more curl, don't worry, it'll still lay flat in a nice way behind the storm door without looking crushed. But you can always just take your wooden dowel or pen or pencil and lift it up and give it a little bit more lift. Like that. You can do it one ribbon at a time or two at a time. So there's that one. I'm going to do this one next. But I'm going to do every other one with the plaid towards the sign and every other one with the shamrocks closest to the sign. So on this one, I'm going to put it in there, twist tight and low 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Lift my pipe cleaners out of the way for now. Don't cut anything yet. So now we're going to lift and separate and bring the plaid to the outside. Green is always in the center. And this up on top. Okay? So it'll be plaid, shamrock, plaid, shamrock, plaid, shamrock closest to the sign. Lift, separate, position. Lift, separate, position. And then position that there. So now I'm going to go to the other side because we're skipping 12 and 6 o'clock. So I'll go back here. Ruffle. Put this in here. Tighten low 3 times. Lift these out of the way. So this will be the same as that one. Lift, separate, position. Lift, separate, position. And I'm putting my arms into it. It will not hurt the materials. Don't be afraid. Put your strength and your arms into it. Lift, separate, position. Lift, separate, position. Just use your fingers or use the dowel or pen or pencil. So now I'm going to go to here. I can remember growing up, you really didn't see any lime in the St. Patrick's Day decor, but I really like the addition of it. I like that extra color. 2, 3. So now we're going to go ahead and put the plaid to the outside. So lift, separate, position. Lift, separate, position. Get those divots out and then position the top one. There we go. Sometimes it wants to cooperate, sometimes it doesn't. So lift, separate, position. If you noticed, I turned the wreath a little bit. Lift, separate, position. Sometimes that's what it takes. Okay, so now we're down to 12 o'clock and 6 o'clock. Looks like I have an extra bundle. Okay. Oh, I know why, because I had the sample one. Again, I just like how it lays on top of the bundles on each side when I do the 12 o'clock and 6 o'clock last. So tight, low, 1, 2, 3, lift it up out of the way. So that means that the plaid goes towards the sign here. Lift, separate, position. Lift, separate, position. And then if it turns over a little bit, you just play with it and get it right. Those divots make the ribbon pop up too. Okay. Lift, separate, position. Lift, separate, position. Lift, separate, position. I say that a lot. Okay. And then go back here and do 6 o'clock. And then we will address how to handle the pipe cleaners. Don't cut them till you've seen this. Put that in there. Twist. 1, 2, 3, low, lift them up, and the plaid is to the outside. Lift, separate, position. Put the lift, separate, position. That one as well. If you heard any noise in the background, that was my dad coming home from lunch. We have lots of snow. So he's trying to get it all off his shoes. All right, so now we have all of the ribbon in. Everything's done except for the pipe cleaners. So now, you have a decision to make. First thing I always do is I even them up. because during the twisting process of the whole project, they usually end up uneven. You don't have to do this. I do this because I'm all about consistency. I'm trying to think of the right word. Like one side is usually longer than the other. That one's good. Somehow I did it right. Or not right evenly. That one too. Okay, this one, definitely one side's longer than the other. Just bugs me when they're not even. Okay? Alright. So you can do one of two things. You can do what you did on the bottom layer, where you, after you do the initial 3 tight, low twists, you can twist again until you have about a 2.5 inch twist. Cut the excess off and then tuck it behind the wreath ribbon so that all you see is like a little knob of pipe cleaner. But that's not the technique I'm going with. I'm going to do my favorite. I always show that to you, but that's not the one that's my favorite. Make them into like little corkscrews. So let me untwist this. Back down to the first 3. And I'm going to take that wooden dowel pen or pencil. I'll use the pen for this. And I'm just going to, making sure there's a cap on so you don't get any ink on your project. Just twisting the pipe cleaner around. You can pull it out, even put a little styrofoam bowl filler on it if you want to add another element, or just tuck it down into the center of the ribbon tails. Good thing I'm almost done. My alarm clock's over here to tell me that it's lunchtime. Oh, Maggie May. Some here. She knows when it's time to eat. I always turn one away from me as I'm curling it. And I always turn one towards me as I'm curling it. That's 2. Get your nose. Curl away. Curl towards me. 4, hi baby. This is Miss Maggie May, my chocolate lab. She's going to be 11 in July. She still acts like she's 2. She thinks doing downward dog means that I'm going to fall for anything she wants. Right, baby girl? I'm almost done. And then we can go eat. Yeah. She's my constant companion. Twist it away from me on the outside. I twisted it towards, on the inside and towards me towards the outside. And last but not least, twist the inside pipe cleaner. She's groaning. She's gonna die because she hasn't ate. She gets spoiled. So I'm twisting this away from me as I curl it. Twisting it towards me as I curl it on the outside. Okay. So before I look at the top, I usually go around the end, lifting the mesh from the top layer up to position my ribbon that's gone ahead underneath. Don't just pull it without moving the mesh out of the way, or you'll snag the mesh and the ribbon. And I do not grab the ribbon from the tips where I've cut it, because ribbon can fray too. Just lifting and positioning the ribbon. Lay down for a minute. Mama's almost done. Alright. I'm going to take this and curl up these a little bit. Relatively easily, I would say, to be honest. This is a really nice style, and it, you know, it doesn't have to go behind a storm door wreath. It can go anywhere, but that's the original intention for it. A little more lift there. That's 6 o'clock. Bless you, Maggie May. All right, there you go. I think we got them all. No, not this one. There we go. So there it is, all complete. Great project to do on your own or with friends, and then you'll have a great piece of decor for the St. Patrick's Day season. Back here. There we go. Okay, so there you have it, the completed project. I hope you enjoyed spending time with me today while I made this project. I know your time is valuable, so the fact that you spend some time and carve out some of your day to spend with me is very much appreciated. If you like this kit, you can find it in my Etsy shop. That information's in my bio here. It's Wreaths by Marguerite. Also, if you like the content you see on my pages, you can follow me here on YouTube at Wreaths by Marguerite LLC, and I'm also Wreaths by Marguerite LLC on Facebook. I'm also on Pinterest and Instagram under Wreaths by Marguerite, no LLC, so you can also follow me there. I thank you again for joining me today. This is available as a kit and as a completed wreath in my shop, at least for the time being. So check it out, see what you think. There's a ton of other kits there that are available, as well as completed projects. Again, thank you for following and spending some time with me. If you like this, every Sunday at 1 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, you'll find new content right here on the page. Thanks for joining me again. Take care and bye-bye.